Good afternoon, everyone. I'm excited to be here on this Saturday afternoon, and today I'm going to be talking about some lessons learned from the week, my song analysis for the week, and then I'm going to do a little practice section. I had a few people ask about what does my practice looks like, and maybe ask me to share what it looks like. So I will be sharing that today, and let's jump right in with the song of the week. So the song of the week I wanted to share is Diamonds and Rust by Joan Baez. And I actually had never heard of this song or listened to it until yesterday. And I'm obviously, since I've talked about it a few times, a big Bob Dylan fan. But I thought it was a good opportunity to take a look at some of her songs in kind of complementing that, since they did have a relationship. And so what I learned in my, I guess, analysis of the song, I listened to it for the first time yesterday, and I already knew that she had had some sort of relationship with Bob Dylan. But as I was listening to the song, it was so obvious, you couldn't ignore. And so then I thought, well, let me see what people say about this song and kind of see what's going on with this. So what I learned was that apparently the song was written because after quite a few years, 10 years or so, Bob Dylan had called Joan Baez and had, kind of stirred up her emotions or feelings again. And this song was sort of about that, being sort of a way for her to express those feelings and express that. And so another thing I wanted to mention before I kind of jump into the details of the song is that the first thing I noticed in the song is that the amazing vibrato that Joan Baez has. I guess a lot of other singers do have that as well, but I think it was just, I happened to really pick up on that. It was really noticeable compared to some other singers. So if you get a chance in the first few minutes of the song, just take a, listen to that and check it out, because I thought it was pretty cool. So now jumping back into some details about the song itself. So the things that were very specific in the song that I wanted to call out, one was he called from a telephone in the Midwest, or a telephone booth, something like that. I guess some younger people might not know what a telephone booth is these days, because you don't see those too much, but that was apparently where he had called from. And she also referred to him as the original vagabond. And I thought that was actually the signal that told me that she was talking about him. And then in the song, she also talks about giving him cufflinks and snow in your hair. And so some very specific and, I don't know, giving imagery to those lines in the song. And in the bottom of the last thing I wanted to say is that when I heard the song Diamonds and Rust, it seemed a bit like strange title. But then when I looked at what other people had said about it, that diamonds was really representing the memories and the positive, the shiny, beautiful memories. And then the rust was sort of like the tarnished version. So after a relationship ends, how it looks so awful and it feels so awful. So yeah, I thought that was a cool song. I will include a link below in the description if you want to have a listen to it afterward. Let's jump in now to the things that I learned this week. So I did make a video this week about goals and goal setting, my 4-step process. And in doing that, I realized it was a lot harder to come up with goals, and specifically the targets, like the when I want to complete X thing, and really being able to get specific about that. And I'm not sure if it was because I was afraid that sort of narrows what I can do in this upcoming year, but it definitely made me think about, maybe I need to be more strong and go out on a limb to set goals, instead of just saying, yeah, I'm going to just kind of go and do whatever without a target. And so in that video, I do talk about my goals for this upcoming year for this channel and for ongoing projects for new music and then also learning. So those are sort of the three angles that I took. But if you haven't set goals for this year yet, or you're just wondering about goals, make sure to check out that video. And one takeaway in general from my music experience this last, we'll say, year is that I realized that there's an ebb and flow of, so you have these times where you're learning, then you'll have times where you're creative, then you'll go back to learning and then creative. And it sort of was like a wave. It kind of goes up and down, up and down. And you sort of shift through these different ways to engage with your craft or with your art. And I guess I hadn't really thought about that before, but that was a pretty cool insight to have. So now if I'm spending time learning something, I'm not feeling bad I'm creating, and vice versa. If I'm creating, I'm not feeling bad that spending time doing that and not learning something new. So as you think about your practice coming up this year, think about that. What things do you really want to, are there things or aspects of your art or craft that you want to learn? And then are there things, so sort of dividing into different things, because I think if I spent all my time learning, I'm not sure I would find that enjoyable. So sort of mixing up the two things where you're having fun, but then you're also learning. So that brings me to the last thing that I wanted to talk about, which is sort of this practice idea, and how sort of give you some insight into what my practice looks like. And this came from one of my subscribers and commenters about, okay, let's just pick up the guitar and play something. So the way that I usually, and I'll adjust this a bit, the way that I usually do practice is that I'll maybe just sit down and play some chords. And it might not be for any song. It's just sort of, kind of getting into the groove. And then from there, I will pick a song. And so I actually have, I'm going to share this on the screen here. So I have this little notebook that I use to have my songs in it. And then I can just open it up and then look at the songs. I do also use Ultimate Guitar, but if I'm going to do specific songs, then I'll put it in the notebook. So that way I can just open it and I can play it, and I don't need to worry about searching for it or having a charged device. So the next thing that I would typically do is I often go with a song that I can warm up on. And so one of those, let me pull it up, is Norwegian Wood. So this is kind of like an easy, relatively easy song to play. And actually, I don't even need, I'll put it on 2, just so I'm actually playing it for you. So then I would start with chords. And that's D. Then I go to C. And then G. And then to D. And then I'll just kind of run through the song. This particular song doesn't have a real high volume of range from high to low. So there's a bit of variety here. And so I might start with, I once had a girl. My mic is on one side and I want to switch this around. My mic is on one side and my words are on the other. So I'm going to switch it around so you can have a little bit easier time here. So I would just step into this. I once had a girl, or should I say she once had me. And my voice is not really warmed up either. So keep that in mind when you're doing your practice. It's gonna maybe a bit at the beginning, especially as you're warming up your voice. She asked me to stay and she told me to sit anywhere. So I looked around and I noticed there wasn't a chair. And the purpose of this is to just warm up your voice, practice something. And then also it's nice because you're kind of getting into the rhythm of the song and playing that. So then from there, for my practice, I have some songs that are I've been practicing for a while, and so I can play this next one is Louis Capaldi's Someone You Loved. And I'm going to tell you right now, this is probably one of the hardest songs I've had to tried to sing. It has a pretty wide range, almost 2 octaves. So you have to transpose it if you're kind of close on the range. Tricky one. But my view is I'm going to just keep practicing it until I can get it good or good enough, and then I'll move on to the next song. But it's a song that I've been practicing for a while. So let's start with I'm going under in this time, there's no one to turn to. This all or nothing really got me sleeping without you. Clearly, I need some more warm up, but you kind of get the idea. You just go through it, and if it doesn't sound good, that's okay. And I did some recordings the other day using GarageBand, and I was able to go through some of the songs that I've been practicing, and it's kind of interesting to listen to the whole song in full, and then you figure out which parts are sounding pretty good and others that maybe sound off. And then I'll replay back the original song and kind of pick up, well, how was the original artist doing it? And do I want to do it the same, and making adjustments, and then practicing a few times and then recording again and kind of keep recording. And I will say that the most beneficial part of the practice for me has been just doing that, is practice, practice, practice. And to me, it sounds good. But then when you record it, it's like, oh, that was kind of off, or the singing was a bit flat, or even the guitar playing can be off. So there's so many things that can sort of go wrong here with the practice, but that's okay. Each time you want to just get a little bit better and have a little bit of improvement. So I would challenge you to set some goals for yourself for this upcoming year, or even just the next 3 months. What would you like to achieve? And check out my video on goals. And then go ahead and get some practice time in today. Hopefully all the holidays are behind us, and now people have a little bit more free time. Thanks for joining me, and I will see you on the motivation talk next week. Thanks.